Hello, I'm Grant Wiley from Worthington Publishing, back again for episode 7 of Grant's Game Room. Today, in honor again of Ken Burns' Vietnam PBS documentary, we're staying in Vietnam and we're going to be reviewing the 1986 Avalon Hill game designed by Craig Taylor, PLATOON, based on the movie by Oliver Stone. First, a little housekeeping. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please go below, click subscribe and the notification button. We're always happy to hear from you. If you like what we're doing, let us know. If you don't like what we're doing, let us know. Let us know how we can improve it and what you'd like to see. Also, if you're viewing this before October 9th, we are running a Kickstarter campaign on Hold Fast Tunisia, follow up to our Hold Fast North Africa, Volume 6 in the Hold Fast series. This is being run by us, and it's designed by Matt Luby. It'll be running till October 9th. So enough on that. Let's get into PLATOON, the authentic new game by Craig Taylor. If you don't have this, guys, it's a pretty worthwhile game to have in your collection. I'm going to let you know right off the bat. It's based on the movie, and scenarios are based on what's in the movie. You get the standard Avalon Hill thin box, the version with William Dafoe throwing his arms in the air as he's being shot down by the VC as the helicopter is taking off. We'll look inside at what's in the box, and then I'll explain a little bit of gameplay. You get a nice little battle manual, the PLATOON battle manual. This has your scenarios, explains your setups, goes into a little bit about the background information on combat in Vietnam, the weapons from both sides, and a little bit of gameplay examples. Now this was printed in black and white. Again, this is 1986, Avalon Hill. Not a lot of color, but 20-page little battle manual. They were always good about this, putting battle manuals in their game, and it makes for interesting reading. You get your 4 scenarios in here with your layouts. If there is a drawback to this game, it's that it has 4 scenarios. I will tell you that I've played this and played it with other gamers. We came up with awesome individual house rules. I'm actually looking at incorporating some of this. I'm doing a Band of Brothers Vietnam, but however, instead of at the squad level, it is at the man level. Squads were typically 10 men for U.S. Army, 14 for U.S. Marines, and ARVN, I think, was 10 to 12. It makes for an interesting little game. 2-page rules. Detailed enough to give you all the information you need to play. I never found like I was missing stuff. You get things like fake soldiers, leaders, claymores, calling in help, all your details that you need. I found it pretty thorough as far as rules go. Again, it's 2-page. I don't know if it's 8.5 by 11, but it's a good size. You get substitution card, and how this works is you get counters if you have more than 1 man in a hex. So you get a counter A, B, C, D, on up to H. So if I've got 4 men in a hex, I put down marker A in that hex, and I put my 4 men in box A. So that shows me those 4 men are there, and I move the counter A on the board. Both sides get this. You get a little 5-turn track here. You get your khaki NVA Viet Cong soldiers, which have booby traps, hidden soldiers, your markers for your leader box, the A, B, C, D, and you get these little black stands that you place your figures in when they're on the board. So you can see your man, but your opponent can't. He sees a blank side to the figure. So it allows for hidden movement, and that becomes very important in this game, as it was during the Vietnam War. It was hard sometimes seeing your opponent. You could be right up on one another. Each figure in the game, and for the U.S. you get claymores, foxholes, things like that. But each figure in the game has a silhouette of a soldier, and it gives you the weapon or fire modifier, fire range, a little number up here in the corner, that's his movement, and the weapon type. This soldier's carrying a M60. The range is 10 hexes. His movement is 2, and his firepower is +5. I'll explain that when I show you a little more detail on the components. You get a set of markers and chits. The chits are really interesting because each scenario, each side is given a certain number of command chits. So the MVA may have 4, the Americans may have 6. It represents the Americans were a little better commanded. They could activate more men in a turn in the game than the NVA could. You take the 4 NVA, the 4 American chits, you put them into a cup and draw them without looking out of the cup. So 60% draw for the Americans, 40% for the NVA. And the scenarios varied. There were anywhere from 15 soldiers on a side to up to 40 soldiers on a side in the scenarios. You get 2 10-sided die. And the game board, I got too many dice in here. You get a hard-mounted game board. Oh, another chart for the NVA soldier to do his commanders. But you get a game board of a jungle. And if there's a drawback to this game, this was the only board in the game. And it could only be laid out one way, and you fought all your battles. There's a little bit of open terrain back here, a couple of roads winding through the jungle, and the rest were jungle hacks. For 1986, it was full color. It was actually, like I said, not bad looking for what you got. But now that we've gone over the components, it's time to go into a little bit of gameplay. So sit tight. I'm swinging around behind the camera, and I'm going to give you a little view on how this puppy plays. Okay, here you see the board set up. I got a couple of American soldiers out here, and I know the view is not very good. I got to figure out this focus to really make this better. But you see the American soldiers, I've got them out here, and let's see if this gets a little better. Oh yeah, isn't that better? That's a little bit better. You can see that is Crawford. He has a radio button, meaning that he has a radio right here next to his thing. His firepower modifier is +2, his movement is 2, and his range is 6, and he's carrying an M16. So we're going to put him back on the board. Right up here, you see a Viet Cong G. Now that represents these 4 men in the G box off to the side. So there's actually 4 soldiers in this hex here, but they're represented by that there. Now why this is important is because if we're playing the game and I'm the American soldier, then all I'm seeing is this, blank backs of counters facing me. So I could be shooting at nothing. I could be shooting at a fake soldier. The black silhouette means that there's no figure there. I could be shooting at 4 soldiers. I could be shooting at real soldiers. And there's a booby trap there. Now, units can shoot through 3 hexes of up to 3 hexes of jungle terrain, at which point they lose line of sight. And how combat works is I add the firepower modifier of my guy firing, here a +2. I look at his range, so he can go 1, 2, 3. It's +2. I roll the die, 9 and 2, 11. You'd roll a die, that's your defense die. And if mine was 1 to 4 lower or higher than yours, your guy would be pinned. You'd put a pin marker on him. He couldn't move or perform actions next turn. If it was 5 or higher, your piece was eliminated. You'd be pulled from the board. Now the trick is, when you fire into a hex, like G there, my die roll result applies to all. I can fire at all 4 guys in that hex. So much like real combat, you don't want to bunch your men up. Otherwise, you can get a lot of men hurt real quick. There's grenades in this. If you're adjacent, you throw a die. It's a +4 modifier. It applies to everybody in that hex. Soldiers with radio men could call in fire support in this game. Let's see, what else? The movement, it's a little jungle. It costs extra to cross a stream. You can see a stream here. +3 target modifier for being in the jungle. If you're moving strictly along road, you can add 1 extra movement point, but not good moving along road because road is clear open terrain and you're going to get snagged that way. How melee worked, if I moved into the same hex with you, we each add 2 die for each of our soldiers in that hex, and then we roll a die. So if we each had 1, we'd roll a die apiece. We'd add 2. High roll wins, low roll is eliminated. Pretty simple, pretty clean. If I moved into this hex, I didn't know what was here. There's a booby trap there. Well, then the booby trap attacks my soldier with a +8 modifier. And that's huge. You're probably going to lose a man to a booby trap. There's a lot of cool little features. Like I said, if there's any drawback to this game, it's just that there were 4 scenarios all based on the movie. And you only had 1 board. And it was pretty okay. But we came up with all kinds of rules. You could clear an LZ. We've made some terrain, clear terrain things to where you could napalm and take out a couple hexes to land troops. You could ferry in reinforcements. So there's all kinds of little modifications you can do to this game to make it really cool. I'm going to spin around to the other side of the camera. But as you can see, it's not a bad looking game. It plays fast. It was fun, I thought, and fairly interesting. But I'm going to come around. We'll have some concluding thoughts and then go on from there. 3, 2, 1. Guys, like I said, if you get a chance and you can pick this up on Board Game Geek in a swap or a sale, maybe eBay, it's worth having in your collection. It's fun, it's fast, it's much lighter than a squad leader, but it's got that feel to it. As I said, I'm currently working on a Vietnam platoon to squad level game. It'll be a lot more detailed than this, but not quite as detailed as our Band of Brothers. However, it's going to use some of the similar concepts of morale. It's just opposed to straight being pinned. You can do morale checks for soldiers from melee and things like that. But that's in the works, and that's probably at least 6 months down the road. Again, if you enjoy what we're doing, please go below, click subscribe, click the notification button. That way, whenever I do a video, because sometimes I'll just come out here, I'll get a thought in my head and I'm going to do a video, or we'll get some game news that I'll post out. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays we post our videos. Please be sure to check out here regularly. Check out the Worthington Publishing website, worthingtonpublishing.com.